Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for following the Meet Me for Coffee podcast on the road. We are back at it again, creating more special edition content here at the Trimble Insight 2025 conference in New Orleans, Louisiana. If you guys like the content that you watch in this episode, be sure to go back and check out the channel to see all of the other amazing on-site interviews that are taking place this week here in New Orleans. And thanks for meeting us for coffee. Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening in to our open mic session at the Trimble Insight Conference here in New Orleans. You have stepped up to be the first contestant on the open mic session. So we just opened up our networking time. Okay. We have an hour here where we're going to see what type of conversations we get to have. And so you're a new face for me. Excited to be meeting someone new. That's the point of these conferences. And I want to hear what you're up to. So can you introduce yourself, please, and tell us more about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me here, Samantha. And
Absolutely.
Honored to be the first one. I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
So myself, Tapan. I'm the founder CEO of Hey Bubba. We are an AI company for carriers.
Okay. And we have a lot of new AI technologies emerging in the marketplace now. So tell me a little bit more about specifically the space that you guys are serving within AI.
Yeah, so I have another company in fleet management space called TruckX.
Okay.
We build electronic logs and cameras. So I started that 10 years ago.
Okay.
And while doing that for like last 10 years, I realized AI is changing the whole game. And late last year, I decided to start this company, Hey Bubba, because I saw a lot of companies doing AI for brokers and no one was doing it for carriers. So we explicitly focused on fleets and carriers. And what Bubba does is we start with the first use case of dispatch. So we work with different load boards, broker load boards, DAT, truck stop. We work with telematics and TMS integrations. And Bubba can find freight through these load boards. Bubba actually goes and calls the broker or shipper on your behalf, negotiates and books the freight.
Wow.
So it's all done through AI without any human being involved in between.
And you're right. We've heard a lot in our space about brokers using voice agents for things like check calls or for inbound calls from carriers. But I honestly think this would be the first conversation I'm having around how the carriers are using AI voice agents to make their outbound calls.
So we have voice agents wherein Bubba calls a broker over the phone. Even driver can interact with Bubba purely on voice. We don't even have a keyboard on our app. So it's just a mic. So you can talk while you're in the truck if you're an owner-operator. If you're a fleet manager or a dispatcher sitting behind the computer, even for that, we have reduced the keyboard access. You just talk to Bubba on a mic with your spacebar, just like you're talking to your colleague and give an instruction saying, hey, can you figure this out? Can you book this backhaul for me? And Bubba will do that for you.
So have you seen, do you guys have any data yet on reduction in time spent by dispatchers actually on the phone? What are we looking at as far as how much can Bubba do versus the actual dispatcher?
So there are two aspects to our dispatch. One is the external dispatch wherein we go and book freights for them. And second is internal. So let's say if you're a large fleet, around 80% is contract freight, 10-15% is spot booking. So we do internal dispatch as well, wherein driver gets an application and rather than driver calling your dispatcher in office, they can talk to Bubba to get the dispatch instructions. Regarding numbers, if you want to book a freight, usually it takes like around 35 calls to a broker to book one freight. Bubba can do that parallelly. So Bubba can make 5 to 10 calls in parallel and book the freight for you. So you typically book a freight in like 5 to 10 minutes rather than spending like an hour to just find a freight.
Yeah, so we're focused on freeing up, the dispatchers and the drivers' time to be doing other things rather than spending time calling and trying to make all these outbound calls or answering inbounds.
So time is one thing, but the critical factor is when are you making these calls? When are you contacting your broker? So let's say a broker or your shipper sends you an email in your inbox. You look at it maybe after half an hour or 1 hour. By the time the good freight is already booked. Bubba can automate this process for you. So
is Bubba able to digest this information that's coming in and into emails?
So we connect with Outlook, we connect with Gmail.
Interesting.
If you have iCloud or Yahoo accounts for owner-operators, we do that as well. But we convert those emails into an actual searchable opportunities. And Bubba has a feature called Autopilot, wherein once you put Bubba in Autopilot, first it will try to find your internal relationships, your emails. If you have your external brokers, we use those broker logins to find freight. And in first few minutes. If we cannot find a good match, then we go after DAT and truck stop and these other load boards to find that
so
freight.
still prioritizing the relationships that are most important to these carriers and looking there first. Yeah,
so it's not just
we talk a lot about this concept of carrier reutilization when we talk about brokers, how they are wanting to try to prioritize, reusing their carriers. And so it's like if the carrier is going to go out and use technology, hopefully the tech is aligned also to reutilize those same broker partners.
Absolutely.
Right?
This is an AI answer for what brokers use AI, right? So if broker is calling carrier or if carrier is calling broker, right? So Bubba is calling now a broker. Over there, the AI is answering the call and Bubba can answer all the questions. What's your MC number? Bubba will tell you the MC number, the insurance, or whatever is needed for them to qualify the load. But Bubba will actually go and talk to their human as well and book the freight.
Very cool. What do you guys think the next year is going to hold for your business in 2026? Is there anything exciting on the horizon that you guys are looking forward to?
Yeah, 2026 is about to end, I guess, but we are excited about. So we launched the product 4 months ago. We signed up 1,500 carriers in 4 months.
Wow, yeah.
And it's been a pretty wild ride so far. And now as we are onboarding larger carriers with 1,000 plus trucks, that's where a lot of custom requirements come in, and we're trying to stay away from all the custom requirements because everyone thinks AI can solve all their problems.
Sure.
And it doesn't happen that overnight.
Yeah.
We're trying to focus on internal and external dispatch first and solving the communication which is with your driver or with your broker or shipper.
Yeah.
And then we'll look into some other use cases like order entry. So TMS announced, Trimble announced today, with Trimble TMS, they can do order entry and all those things. So we think TMS will solve a lot of these simple tasks. And our goal is to go and do complicated tasks, which is multi-step process.
Yeah.
And that's what we focus on.
Yeah, I think that's been an important evolution in the AI space is people really focusing in on what is the core thing that we do really well as a solution provider, right? Not this AI generalist that can automate any workflow process.
We don't even have a concept of an agent in our product.
Yeah.
It's just a load booking flow and
it's
we use AI. We use AI within the system.
Sure. I like that. Well,
thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show. I do
a
last
nice
question. What?
We have a nice mustache. Bubba has a nice mustache.
Okay, so I don't know if people are going to be able to see the card, but he gave me his card, and Bubba is actually this really cute, adorable little blue blob guy.
Yeah.
With glasses and a cute mustache.
If you go to Bubba.ai, Bubba actually waves at you. Bubba can talk to you as well.
Oh, fun. Okay, well, is this your first time attending Trimble Insight Conference?
This is first time for Trimble, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
Would you recommend it to others who are in the space?
Absolutely. It's really amazing after attending so many shows. Looks like they really take care of their customers, and I love this show so far.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And are you on LinkedIn, or what would be a good way for people to find you if they want to connect with you?
Absolutely. I love LinkedIn. That's my only social network.
There you go. Well,
so it's
we'll put your full name in the episode description, so everyone go look him up on LinkedIn. Be sure to connect with him.
Yeah.
And thanks for being willing to step up and join us for open mic time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm glad I'm not singing. It's not an open mic singing. This is much better. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the open mic session at the Trimble Insight Conference. This is Monday night's first open mic session. So I have our second guest who is willing to step up and brave the camera and the microphone for you all. This is Patrick. Patrick, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Would you mind introducing yourself and telling me a little bit about who you are or what you do?
Okay, my name is Patrick Beene. I'm the founder of DataHAUL. I'm a CPA and I'm a former flatbed fleet owner. So I used to have 20 trucks, and I basically got to the end of every month and I would have my monthly financials and I would have my miles, and there wasn't much more detail than that. And so I started DataHAUL to really get super detailed in the analytics to help understand kind of where every penny and every second of the business is going, and we have started building a product to do that.
Was your trucking business here too? Because you told me you're local. You're from New Orleans.
Yes. Well, I'm local, but I started it actually when I was at Ole Miss.
Okay.
When I was finishing up at Ole Miss, I started it, and then
you went to school and just thought trucking, that's the thing that I want to do.
Well, I had a buddy of mine got into it and he got me hooked.
Yeah.
And so I thought naively that I could just maybe have a truck or two and it would be a part-time deal, and ended up going into
it sucked you all the way in.
Full time.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so talk to me a little bit more about DataHAUL, because something that it's already, I don't want to bring it up too much, but we've had it in a conversation a couple times already today, is, okay, cool, we have data, but we have to be able to do something with the data.
Right.
So what actionable insights, like what actions are people able to take out of the data that you're focused on collecting and creating?
Yeah, well, the first thing is, again, going back to the accounting element, we aggregate all of your operational data from separate systems, right? And then we reconcile it with the financial statements. So first of all, you have to normalize the data to get it ready to get used.
Yeah.
So now we put everything, we boil it into the hours of service log. So every piece of operational data we think is relevant, and then all the financial elements, your whole chart of account, even if it's a 2-minute HOS log, has all that data in there. And so now you've got a comprehensive, normalized data set that you can, again, you got to start using it. You got data everywhere, but now how do you start using it? So a couple things. We're working with Palantir, and they've got some really cool AI tools connected to agents to start doing stuff. But throwing that stuff aside, you can start planning freight more efficiently. If you can just squeeze an hour or two out of utilization per week with a driver, that's going to pay for our product 10 times over.
Sure.
And then, really that detail, the super granular level that we're getting down to, again, at the HOS log level, it allows for the CFO and the C-suite to get some really good strategic reporting on what's going on in their business. And they can start making decisions like, okay, we didn't know it because we were looking at generic, fleet-wide numbers. We didn't know this customer was bad. We didn't know this area was bad. But every single load, every single customer, every single driver, every single truck, trailer, doesn't matter. All of their actions are now tied to the bottom line. So you know who's performing well, who's putting up numbers, who's not. And when I say numbers, I mean talking about the bottom line. And then you use it to start selecting freight. So when you have a freight option, we're giving you a gross profit per hour that freight option is going to provide for you based on your own data. So the disadvantage we feel trucking companies have is that they've got a complex operation. So if there's a shipper that says, hey, it's $1,000 to haul the freight, they have to know one number. Broker has to know two numbers, they're spread. And a trucking company, there's hundreds of data points that goes into, can I even haul it? Much less, how much am I going to make on it? And that's our mission, is to give a number, and we use gross profit per hour, that trucking companies can use.
I was going to say, I don't know a lot about, I've never been a fleet operator myself. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I've worked with a number of them now, and when I was a broker, we had a lot of these conversations with carriers because we sourced a lot of dedicated capacity to our contract freight.
Right.
And I would say, give me, I need your line haul rates, right? No fuel. Well, that's a number one challenge for carriers who are trying to get more used to that, to a different pricing. But then I would say, they'd be talking about, well, this is the rate per mile that we need. And I was like, isn't it more about, the time than the mileage?
Yeah.
Because you could run a really inefficient, 1,000-mile route. Yeah. And it wouldn't matter if it was $3 per mile. It's still not going to make up for the extra day it took you or whatever it is. So I think a lot of this comes down more to time spent. And you said revenue per hour. Is that what you said?
Gross profit per hour.
Gross profit per hour. Because I always looked at it as revenue, or I guess you could look at profit per week. For each driver, each truck, how much are they turning in a set time period? And is that covering the operational costs of that unit and that driver?
Yeah, and it's the gross profit per hour. That's really what we boil it down to, because there's all these metrics, revenue per week, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're in it to make money, or you're in it to minimize cost.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to focus on.
Very cool. Well, I like that. What would you say is your piece of advice to a fleet leader or someone who is more involved in the data and the numbers as they're trying to think about, their plan for the next year?
Their plan for the next year, I would say get a plan. I would say make sure that you have your data together and you're looking at you're looking at your fleet as a whole on what's going on, but that you can actually boil it down. Make sure you can drill down to the most granular level.
Yeah.
But also to understand the big picture, but be able to go to the bottom to understand who's really driving the revenue, who's actually, if you made $100, did you really make 150 and lose 50 somewhere, and where can you cut that out? So know what's going on, but know what's going on at a granular level. Be able to zoom down.
What about if people are like, man, I really just don't feel like I have a handle on our data? Like, is that okay to just admit and go find someone to help you figure out how to get the data? Because sometimes it's overwhelming when you're not inherently like a tech guy or something to figure out how to get all these systems stripped out and get all the data somewhere and get it somewhere it can make sense. Like, how can they just start? Like, would that be a welcome question to you and your business? Like,
that's what we do. We get your data together. So I would say call us. But really,
I feel like people don't want to admit that. They feel like they have to have all the ducks in a row before they would go engage with a tech company now.
Yeah, and that's really the opposite. It's like you need a company like us to get it together for you. It's not that you need to get it together for us. You just need to give us your API keys, and we'll do the best to get it all together, and we'll start, you go from there. And then we have an API you can plug into to use it how you want. So we're not telling you how to run your business. We just are trying to get it together for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for making the time to join me for Open Mic Session. If anybody's interested and they do want to connect and they do need help getting their data together, what's the best way to contact you or reach out?
Reach out, DataHAUL.ai, reach out, find me on LinkedIn, and just Google DataHAUL. You can find us.
Yep, we're going to have his full name in the episode description, so you guys can go look him up on LinkedIn, probably tag in the post on LinkedIn if you guys are watching this on LinkedIn. So be sure to check them out, and thanks for being willing to step up for Open Mic Night.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, and thanks everyone for being here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening in. This is my third time, I believe, at least, getting the absolute privilege of talking to Lee on this podcast, and I got to snag him at a conference. So I saw him walking by, and I was like, hey, there's a fellow podcaster and a guy who knows quite a lot about a lot of things. So wanted to make sure you joined the Open Mic Session, pulled you out of the crowd. So tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Lee Klaskow. I work for Bloomberg Intelligence. That's Bloomberg's research arm. I cover freight, transportation, logistics, so pretty much all modes. So I care about the movement of stuff. Don't care too much about the movement of people. I do like people, but I don't care about the movement of people. Also, as you mentioned, I am the host of Bloomberg Intelligence Talking Transports podcast, a weekly podcast where we talk about the decision makers within the freight transportation markets.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being willing to step up here. We're doing kind of short interviews, and so I challenged you to say, hey, in 7 minutes, what would be like the most comprehensive kind of market update and outlook you could give us, because I heard that's what you got to speak about today on a panel here at the conference.
Yeah, during our panel, I kind of mentioned tongue-in-cheek that, it's just all about chaos.
Yeah.
So right now, the supply chains have been in chaos, whether going back down to the pandemic up until today. Today, it's all about tariffs. Are they on? Are they off? How much are they?
Are they getting refunded or reversed?
Right. Am I getting a check in the mail?
Yeah.
Who's getting a check in the mail? And the reality is that tariffs are creating uncertainty that are really jamming supply chains, the wheels of supply chains, because companies don't know. Should I be investing? Should I be buying stuff? Should I be taking on inventory? Should I be hiring employees? And then you have the knock-on effect of tariffs, which is inflation. And if inflation does creep up from here, that'll eat into people's purchasing power, which will really impact consumer confidence, which currently is at a historical low. So we're going through an economy where the experts, I'm not an economist, I don't play one on TV, but they would say that we're in a K-shaped economy where there's the haves and the have-nots, where the upper income folks are doing okay right now, and it's everybody else that are struggling day to day, and it's impacting what they're buying and how they're buying.
Yeah. And what are we thinking as we're looking? Everyone's trying to get people to be willing to say, well, what's going to happen? What's going to change? And that's a challenging thing to do right now, because the reality is all of this uncertainty. We've seen predictions be wrong now for the last 2 years in freight markets specifically, and even just a lot of economists have had to kind of change their stance on things in the broader economy too, because we're really seeing things that nobody can plan for, tariffs to the degree that we have them and things like this. So when people are trying to ask you, and you're speaking on panels or you're hearing questions in these panels about how should we be thinking moving into the next quarter, the next 6 months, or the next 12 months, what is kind of your what is your advice? Do we have to create multiple scenarios and plan for multiple, or?
I think it's just treading carefully.
Yeah.
You mentioned we've been in this freight recession for a long time. A lot of folks thought it was going to end a lot earlier. After the presidential election, I think a lot of people thought that, we got a Republican in the White House, low taxes, low regulations, the animal spirits of business are going to be released. It's going to be great for freight. Fast forward, I think most people thought, okay, the administration is going to be tough on China, but then they were tough on everybody. And that really created a high degree of uncertainty. And looking into 2026, broadly speaking, we are optimistic that it won't be as bad as this year.
Sure.
So we're not saying it's going to need to be a good year. There's going to be a lot of challenges. That's from inflation. The ISM, which is a good indicator of less than truckload demand, has been in contraction territory for, I believe, 35 of the last 37 months, which is not good. So that to us tells us, well, over the next 3 to 6 months, LTL demand is not going to be great. We've seen LTL demand down by mid-single digits to high single digits over the last couple of months. So that could continue to trend into the first half. I do hate saying this, but I do think that the second half of next year will or should or could be better than the first half, but that's not really saying much. It's really coming off of a low bar.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we see that growth backloaded to the second half of next year, that growth isn't maybe as exciting as what people were hoping we were going to see, right, coming out of such a suppressed freight market. I think it's going to be more slow and steady kind of upward pace. Yeah,
you have a macro environment where GDP expectations are expected 1.8, 1.9% over the next couple of years. You have industrial production, which is expected to be even less than that. So the demand picture is not great, and the impact of tariffs could, make those expectations even come down further from where we are today.
Do you have any thoughts to contribute to the other side of this equation, which would be that supply, our supply base? And we've had, again, I don't think we would have foreseen the scrutiny that we're putting on our supply base from a geopolitical standpoint, or I didn't expect the White House to be so vocally involved in trucking probably, but here we are. Do you have any concerns at all about supply, or is it more still a demand story?
It's going to be both, I think. So you have to have demand growing and supply coming out. I think that we all want safer roads. And, there are rules on the books, and those rules need to be enforced. The problem is who is going to enforce those, because it's at the states level, and it's police officers at various states. They have other things to worry about, and so you're not going to have a day where 200,000 truckers who maybe English isn't their primary language, they're not going to leave the roads tomorrow. You could see a gradual decline. Obviously, you don't want to see anyone lose their livelihood, but that would be a positive for the supply picture. The market has been oversupplied for quite some time, and I think a lot of folks, and probably a million people that have been on your podcast, are scratching their head as like, how can there be so much supply still in the market when rates are so low and it's so hard to make a living?
Yeah, that's definitely been a question that's been brought up many times, and I've had a couple people just point back. I think Dean Krogh from DAT pointed back to, how much money was made by these same fleets during the 2020.
But that money's got to be gone.
Yeah,
gone.
We're getting to that point. And so I think we are seeing just like fatigue in some regards, that supply. I did see though, October numbers, we had like net new 160 something authorities issued because we lost 4,800 something and we gained 5,000 more. So it's hard to wrap your head around 5,000 new entrants coming in a month, right, to a marketplace.
Yeah, it's not a business that I'd want to get into right now.
So, well, any final thoughts or kind of takeaways as you are thinking Q4, talking to people, moving into the next year? Any advice or words of wisdom you have for us?
Any advice? Wow. Broadly speaking, I think the earnings pictures for trucking companies are going to get slightly better.
Okay.
If you're looking at consensus, they are expecting double-digit EPS growth for truckload carriers. A lot of that is just really driven by easier comparisons.
Sure.
What I think is going to be really interesting is a lot of the technology investments that we're seeing today by a lot of companies, you're not really seeing it hit the bottom line yet. And that's because the demand picture and the rate picture has been so terrible.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting. I don't want to say 2027 because that just sounds like ridiculous. But like when we get into a more normal demand environment, I really think it's going to be interesting the kind of incremental margins that these companies are going to generate can be, I think it's going to be pretty exciting for the ones that are still standing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think we've heard a lot on this show today about all the exciting things that people are doing to be more efficient and to optimize and to just honestly become better business owners. And fleets are getting more advanced and smarter, and brokers and everyone. And so I think that this next upward cycle in the freight market is actually going to be something we can look back on and say, rather than just live in chaos and take on as much as we can because the rates were good and like we made good money. We made really good money because we were able to hire less, do more with what we had, be more optimized throughout our processes. And so I think we've taken these 3 years of a down market to almost like redefine what the future of operations looks like for all of us through these
and AI is real. There's been a lot of technology hype since I've been covering the space. I've been involved in transportation from an analyst standpoint for 20-21 years. Whether it's like blockchain or autonomous trucking or EVs, I've always been a little skeptical of how quickly those things will grow. AI is something that I think is real. I think it's here today. Our company's spending a lot of money on it. Is there maybe a bubble? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. Our tech analyst at BI probably can answer those questions. But it really seems like there is a true productivity gain to be had from the investments that they're making today.
Yeah, I think 2025 has been a year of, came into it skeptical of AI and like kind of this hype around it, but I've had the privilege of working with some companies that are involved in the automation space, and then just like actually we're hearing now the case studies and the results and the actual, we've been trying this for 2 years and now here's where we're at. So I think we're at a place where we can call it and say there's definite efficiency gains that are coming from that within the trucking and logistics sector.
And while 2025 has been a horrible freight environment, it's been a good year for you, right?
Yeah, it's been a good year for me. I've had a lot going on too. So got married, gonna have a baby, all sorts of things going on. Been in business for 2 years now with my business. So yeah.
That's all fantastic news.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. If anyone is interested or they want to connect with you, I know you have a great presence on LinkedIn, so be sure to follow him on LinkedIn. You can also find his podcast. You can find ways to connect with him on the podcast on his LinkedIn. It's also, I'm assuming, across most major podcast platforms.
All major platforms.
All major platforms. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening in and for meeting us for coffee, even though we didn't have any coffee today, but that's okay. It was a good conversation.
It certainly was. Thanks for having me.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for listening in to our open mic session time here at the Trimble Insight Conference in New Orleans, Louisiana. I am joined again. I say again because I met you for the first time last year at this conference. So I'm joined again by Sam. Sam, how are you doing today?
Our annual reunion.
Yeah.
It's great to see you, and the name thing might be confusing, so I'm glad it's just us. We don't have to use each other's names for this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. You came up and I was like, I'm so bad at names, but I know faces. And I was like, I know, I talked to this guy before. So it's been a full year. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little, well, for anyone who doesn't know you already, because I do, we're clearly longtime friends
Yeah.
now. Who are you? What do you do? What does Isaac Instruments do?
Yeah, longtime friends and both aspiring new parents. Well,
Yeah.
Again, but congratulations, by the way.
Thank you,
That's
and
fantastic.
same to you guys.
Isaac Instruments, we're a ELD and camera provider with a heavy focus on simplifying lives for drivers and back office users. And while we're here, a slight change of tune, a big emphasis on integration with the Trimble TMS products. It was the first one we did from a TMS perspective with Isaac when we moved into the ELD space, and we haven't slowed down.
Awesome. Well, it's been a year, so I'd love to just kind of get your thoughts as someone playing in the trucking logistics space and technology. What have you guys seen change and evolve over the last year?
Last year at this conference, I would have said, we're all looking forward to the future. Rates are at the bottom. Things are going to get better. But we just got out of the ATA conference a couple weeks ago in San Diego, and it doesn't look like rates are going to get better anytime soon. So I would say one thing that's changed is people, it's sad, but it's almost become like the new normal. Like, this is tough, and fleets are trying to get any possible way they can to save money. And that could be cost reduction on current services, they're parking trucks, but if we can only do so much on the cost side, right? We swept all the corners. How can we get back to the revenue side of like getting more efficient from that perspective? And it's hard. So we've seen a lot of fleets look at their expenses like fuel and how can we put programs in place to incentivize drivers, but at the same time get fuel savings. So that's been a big emphasis of ours in the past year.
Yeah, absolutely. And what have you guys seen, as a team, how have you guys been able to kind of react to another year of a down market cycle? What type of conversations or support are you guys providing to your clients to help them with their goals?
I guess one thing that's, I don't want to say been nice, but since people have been slower, the teams that generally have a little bit more time. So those dispatch managers that usually have 15, 20, 25 drivers are all handling about 5 less. So they have more time, and this is a good time to maybe not buy technology. Granted, several are and going that way, but at least take a look. And we've seen people that are more willing to take a look. They see better options out there, and they find a way to make it work. And there's a lot of creative financing ways to make changes if it's beneficial to your operation. And that's one thing we've been working on with people, of really like take a look, see what's out there, because you never know until you see. Because this industry is changing so fast, and if you sit still for 1 year, you're going to be behind your competitors, and it's competitive.
Yeah. And I think you said a little bit ago that you guys have some embedded integrations with Trimble's product suite, right?
Right.
Okay. Can you talk to me a little bit more about how important it is at this point? I mean, we've seen a lot of evolution in AI and all these different tools, but I always think about how do we make sure that these tools and these processes are living in their workflows?
Yeah.
So you think about their TMS, that's probably where these guys are spending almost all of their time. So how do we make sure we're getting everything centralized into where it needs to be, and also how are we capturing any data that needs to be captured?
You hit the nail on the head. That's the first thing we talk to when we go into carriers, is the TMS is the lifeblood of your organization.
Sure.
And this might be a not so appropriate joke, but I really think it's true that you're more likely to get divorced than you are to switch your TMS. It's so hard and so time consuming.
Yeah.
Both of them are terrible, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
One of them has a better outcome at the end, but making sure everything flows through there. And let's face it, most trucking companies don't have heavy IT. You don't have the bandwidth to go on and be the guinea pig and take on these projects. So we always tell people is take a look, see what's out there. And I'm the chief sales and marketing officer. I'll be the first to say this. Believe me not, go talk to people that use it. See what the actual users are experiencing. And if people don't have existing people, customers on those platforms, I wouldn't bother. You don't want to be the first. You don't want to be bleeding edge on this kind of stuff, because it's just not worth it. There might be some advantages to be early, but I haven't seen them in my 12 years of being in this space.
Yeah, that's something that got brought up in one of my interviews, was just, you almost, to actually pursue integrating with a tech partner has historically been a pretty monumental task, and so you really need to make sure you do your due diligence. Do you think that we're moving towards a future where it's starting to get easier to be able to adapt and integrate new technologies into your systems?
Yeah, I would say easier, certainly, with open APIs and just technology being better. It's easier, but I still think people are going to be involved. It kind of reminds me of AI. People are worried about losing their jobs. And yeah, it could happen, but you still need a person to direct AI with what to do. AI is just thriving off all the data. So I think that's so critical from that perspective.
Well, what advice would you give to anyone listening in? I guess maybe, who is it that you would give this piece of advice to, and what's something that's just top of mind for you as we end 2025 and head into a new year? What are your thoughts about 26 and everything it might bring?
I would say be open to new ideas, new ways of doing things. There are opportunities out there to save money on existing ways of doing these things. And it's not just, ELDs and cameras, which we sell, but see what's out there. Even if you're in long-term contracts, go take a look every year or two. You don't want to waste too much time if you're embedded with people, but you don't know what's out there from a new technology perspective if you're not open to taking meetings with people and being open-minded.
You don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I want to ask one last question. I know you were here last year at least, so you've been a repeat attendee. What would you say about the conference or anyone who's considering maybe attending Trimble in the future?
Oh, yeah. I worked with PeopleNet from 2012 to 21. And I think since, 2025 now, I've missed one or two of these in the last 13 years. And they're great conferences. Back in the day, it was the best technology conference before Trimble bought everyone. And ever since then, it's just got bigger and bigger and better. It's a little bit different without the, I'll call it legacy PeopleNet customers here, but it's still one of the best ones in the industry, and I can't recommend it enough for people to attend and take everything in.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for making the podcast part of your Trimble Insight experience again this year. Maybe that'll be a trend that we can start too. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you everyone for listening in. Hey everyone, thanks for listening in again to the open mic session, part of day 2 here at the Trimble Insight Conference in New Orleans. I'm sitting down with Kate. Kate, how has your day been so far?
It's been great. Today's always my favorite day of Insight, getting to do the partner showdown in the morning, and then I don't know, it always sends really positive, exciting vibes for everybody while we're here. So it's been a great time. Thank you.
So you hosted the partner showdown this morning. It was a very high energy room. It was hearing from people, it was like game show vibes and a lot of fun. So can you kind of tell us what it was and what the purpose of it was?
Yeah, sure. So we invite our partner ecosystem to pretty much participate in a demo rapid fire type event where they go up and they have 5 minutes to do a pitch. Our audience decides who the winner is. It's very interactive. We'd like to say that it's one of those Shark Tank-esque type of shows, but we want it to be kind of cheeky and fun and a game show because we feel like we get much more involvement and interaction from everybody in the crowd, and it's really important for us to better understand everybody that's in the audience. Obviously, they're here, we want to listen to them and gain insights and figure out what's on their plate, what's on their mind, all that kind of stuff. So it's wonderful, and it all derived too of just really also showcasing that ecosystem partner and saying, you don't have to talk about Trimble. Come up and just showcase what you have because you're valuable to us and we're only as good as our partners are and our relationships with our partners and building our ecosystem. And we just want to give them all the showcase and, as I always say, all the love that I can give. I'm responsible for the partner hugs, that's pretty much how it goes.
Awesome. So these partners were all, they're outside partners of Trimble, so they partner with Trimble.
Correct.
And they're all a technology provider of sorts?
All technology solution providers, pretty much,
So can you tell me a little bit more about, Trimble has a whole suite of your own technology products. what do your external partners mean to the Trimble, I guess, ecosystem, if you will?
I think it's I've been with Trimble now for 15 years.
Okay. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And I've seen the partner space evolve dramatically within the industry at large. And I think what you see now is that customers require that you work with everybody.
Yeah.
And they want you to have a full open ecosystem because they need it. Everything. I always say, I'm like, a partner, you cannot treat them as a one size fits all.
Yeah.
They're a one size maybe fits most.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to really understand and respect them, that they're going to say, I want these things. I want you guys to be able to talk and play nicely. You know what I mean? And I think that we've all kind of have this, we're all good at certain things or known for certain things, but we should play well together because then those things work best for those customers. And at the end of the day, it's all about the customers.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how I've always said, in our industry, it's like if you're catering to shippers, well, shippers are going to drive your innovation. If you're catering to brokers, they're going to drive your innovation. If you're, targeting carriers, their needs drive your innovation. And
100%.
So it's being really proactive and also maybe sometimes, but like reactionary to the evolving needs and demands of your client base.
Yeah.
Having to hear them out.
Absolutely. And I mean, we are very open to working with tons of different partners. We want to listen to our customers, understand what their needs are. We have a wide span of relationships and things like that. And it's great.
What do you hear from your partners about the partnership with Trimble? Like, what is their, how important is it to their businesses to be able to partner and plug in with the providers like Trimble?
I mean, I feel like, Trimble's been at it for a long time, right? And we are very proud to have such an extensive ecosystem as well as customer base. And I think when we start working with partnerships, they're really wanting to come in and sort of, look to us to help also, maybe not all of them, I shouldn't say that, but, we get that sense of like, help guide us a little bit too, especially we're seeing so many new solution providers pop up within the industry. That we're sort of, coming in and they want to establish this relationship because it expands to such a bigger universe and vice versa. Yeah. So I think it's just, this like really healthy collaboration and figuring all of those things out. So we hear a lot of times too, like I say this, I'm like, I'm in relationship marketing. Like I love working with people and I love working with partners who have specific needs and how I can best help them. And I think that also you get with working with Trimble this relationship. Like we really care about our partners, our customers, their success is our success. So it's like we want to be able to set up for success that's not just immediate but ongoing,
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Well, this conference is probably a big part of the experience for your vendors every year.
Yes.
So they get to come and enjoy
Yes.
a conference. What would you say is one of your favorite things about this conference, or why you would recommend someone come?
Oh my gosh. Oh wow, she's asking the marketing person, which is really, that might be lethal. Well, I'm like, did you see the dogs? Like, I mean, my gosh, we have
we
puppies.
just had someone bring that up recently.
We have puppies, it's so amazing. The question again was then, what would I tell them about the conference?
Yeah,
why to come?
Why should they consider coming?
So I think our show really stands apart because I think it really, it's personal.
Yeah.
Like we really try to create experiences for everybody at every level, whether they're a newbie in the industry to somebody who's like, I have so much experience, but I really want to work on educational sessions, or you have all of these different sort of paths and things like that, and it's open. We're not just saying, hey, this is a user conference. This is our technology conference with technology front and center.
Yeah.
And I just think that you come here and you meet and discuss and collaborate with very like-minded, similar type of roles and things like that. And it only sparks a lot of really great ideas, collaboration, especially too, I mean, timing wise, it worked out really well this year. I feel like a lot of the things and conversations all of us are having are going right into 2026 and planning. And, you know, we really listen to our customers too from an event perspective, you know, because it's not just about, you know, meeting with your customers and walking a show floor. It's like an experience. Like, are you going to do some cool things while you're here? Are you going to see some cool things? So we definitely want to make sure that we're catering to all of those aspects. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I would say, just to piggyback a little bit on that I really love the variety of like educational sessions that are offered here for any attendee who actually is like, I want to learn something I don't know. I need to make sure I know what's like the latest going on with this. And so there are so many, like, we have the little like campfire headphone breakout sessions, and you have the educational sessions, and you have the like main stage rooms. So there's so many good options for actually learning, and that's like a big passion of mine at these conferences. Is not just like how can we talk about, you know, like buzzwords on a stage, but like how can we like really learn something with the take a takeaway from our sessions that we attend.
And the festival style layout, we've been told like people just love that because they're like, they could just be a one central hub, one central spot to just like walk around and just have so many different experiences, learn different things, sit in different sessions. Yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling me more about it and telling our audience more about the showcase and what they could expect if they were to attend next year. And hopefully they do, right?
Yes, I hope so. We'll see you in San Diego in September.
Oh, yeah. San Diego.
Won't
that
be
was
beautiful at all there at that time of year. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be incredible.
Conference to attend.
Send me to San Diego.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone, for meeting us for coffee today. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for listening in. I'm joined by Megan on our open mic time here again at day 2 of the Trimble Insight Conference in New Orleans. Megan, thanks so much for being brave and stepping up.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. She got a little peer pressured into it by some of her friends here in the audience listening. So you're going to be my testimonial giver after this, that podcasting isn't as scary as people think it is. So
okay.
You got this.
Okay. So I'm doing a podcast and then I'm giving a testimonial on the podcast.
Yeah.
Wow. This just gets bigger every moment. How exciting.
Megan, can you tell us more about who you are and what you do at Trimble?
I am happy to do that. I've had a long journey at Trimble. I've been with the company for 8 years. I'm currently in a role where I lead cross-sell strategy for the transportation and logistics segment.
Okay. So what does that mean? Is that you're working with customers of Trimble to help them explore other solutions across the Trimble ecosystem?
I would say it's probably more of an internal facing role where I work across all of our sales teams to help guide them on how they can sell more easily to our customers, help translate to our customers all the different things that we have to offer them across the whole transportation and logistics segment. What's relevant for them, what's not relevant for them, and like what to focus on.
Sure. Well, there have been some cool announcements this year at Trimble around product enhancements, AI agents that are coming out, and some different things. So how are you guys thinking and planning around how you have these conversations with customers and with users when they want to know more about maybe it's AI, or maybe they're just saying, hey, we're trying to be more automated, or we want to be more forward thinking? Like, how are you guys, engaging with those customers, or even maybe helping them to start thinking along those lines?
Yeah, great question. I think it usually comes down to just a really clear understanding of the customer, of their problem, and knowing how the solutions that we're bringing to market are helping them solve their real world problems. So, like in my role, I work, obviously really closely with our sales teams, and it's being really close to that customer, really being doing great discovery and understanding exactly what their challenges are, I think is really important. Yeah.
Do you guys also, have an opportunity to, as you learn more about these customers, is this something that you guys can also take back to like product, or are you also helping to drive the internal innovation that's happening?
Absolutely. I'd like to believe that everyone plays a part. Honestly, all the different roles across, our whole business play a part in the development of our products. Honestly, if you are doing it well, then you have a consistent feedback loop of, what customers are saying in marketing testimonials versus what they're saying to their customer success manager, or what they're saying to their actual sales representative. Obviously, product is a big part of that as well, hopefully, and they get that time. And I think this is a great event for where they really get to interface with all the different roles across the whole business, because we have everyone come out and meet with customers.
Yeah. And you guys have a pretty diverse customer base. And so you probably have, your customers need drastically different things depending on, the type of their business, or if they're a fleet, their fleet size even, or the type of commodities they're handling. So how do you guys kind of try to, I guess you have to really innately understand their business to be able to make those kind of product recommendations or make sure they're having the best experience with what you guys have available?
I think it's that, and it's also, again, having that forum or that ability to compile all of that feedback and relay it back to the product team. I think if you heard any of Jonah's sessions this week, he talks about internally how we call it dog fooding. It's basically eating our own dog food before we take it to the market. So when we talk about AI agents, for example, we built our own AI agents that we use in our business. So some of those AI agents, for example, would be able to tell you about critical support issues or things that where you have a better understanding much more quickly of maybe what's happening in real time in the market and what needs to be addressed. And that also would be something that feeds into product development.
Sure. Well, I have a couple more questions for you. And the first of those would be, if you were to be giving advice to any of the Trimble product users right now, what is something you would say they should be thinking about as they're planning their business moving into a new year?
I hate to bring it back to AI, but I think that is the buzzword that's on. We've heard it in every session that I personally have been in. I think it's still a little bit unclear to a lot of our customers as to how they can bring AI into their business. So just making it a little bit more simple of thinking about critical business issues for them. Where are the areas where they most need automation, for example, and how AI can potentially feed into that.
Yeah. I think a year ago, a lot of us thought AI was kind of maybe a buzzword, but now, it's
the buzzword.
It's here, and but it's here because it's real, it's tangible, it's making a difference, it's making an impact. We're seeing the case studies come out in our industry. We're seeing the success of some of these tools, and so, I think that's a great advice. Thinking about the next year is if you're not there yet, definitely have to at least have an AI curiosity plan or something to start evaluating how it could benefit your organization.
I think it's also on us to make it tangible to the customers, make it something it's an easily digestible story for them, or it's not so high level that they really don't understand how that would even translate to their business.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay. Last question, and then you can give me that great testimonial. Last question would be, if someone has never been to the Trimble Insight Conference, and maybe they're considering it for next year and they are listening in, what would you say are some reasons they should consider attending?
Well, I'm not wearing an ambassador shirt, but I do like to say I am an ambassador of this event. I think there's something here for everyone in the industry. It has historically, I think, been a lot more of our carrier customers, but as our business has grown and we've brought in new and different types of customers through some of those acquisitions that we've done, don't just consider it a carrier show. It's definitely something for anyone in the transportation industry. I think there's something here to benefit them.
Okay. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this was easy and 10 being this was hard, where would you put podcasting on that?
What was my scale?
1 is easy, 10 is it's really hard.
I'll give it a 1.
Yes, yeah.
It's just a conversation. Pretend this isn't happening.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come up. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys. Another conversation happening on the pavilion here at the Trimble Insight open mic session time here in New Orleans. I have a couple of the Trimble team members, and I would love for you guys to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. Megan? Not Megan. We just talked to Megan.
I am also
You're
Megan.
also Megan.
We make it easy.
Oh my gosh. I was like, I just talked to a Megan. Are you really a Megan?
Yes.
Okay, Megan too. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Megan Koerbel, and I am Vice President of Finance for our Transportation and Logistics segment. I'm also Corporate Controller.
Okay.
Of treasury. That was a stutter, huh?
That's a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, they give you like a lot there to have to articulate.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
And I'm Philipp Pfister. I'm Vice President of Transporeon. This is the shipper part of the Trimble T&L business.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'd love for you guys to tell me a little bit more about, Trimble, this is Q4, we're having our Insight conference, so maybe kind of tell me what's been new across the departments or divisions that you're overseeing over the course of 2025. We had a lot of announcements coming out at this conference, so anything that you want to note as we move into 26?
So, first of all, I think what has been new for us this year, or like where we progressed really well, is bringing the various parts of our business together. So the maps business, the shipper part of the business, and the carrier part of the business, and also our forestry part that is part of T&L, where we really see like a more collaboration for our customers, and our customers also being able to use more of the product suite outside of what they are used to also use today. I think that's also part of what we announced this week here. It's the joint products that collaborate better with each other, having this connected data network ecosystem, really bringing everyone on one platform globally. That's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in the finance side of things, anything exciting going on last year?
Well, a lot is actually always going on, but we're really focused on finance of the future and how to bring AI into the way we do our daily activities, but also thinking broader in how we're going to market. So we're looking at digital transformation and bringing all of our groups together to be able to contract in one way to customers and also just generally do business better. So we're excited about that.
I know that a couple of the Trimble people that we've interviewed so far have talked about, and I think even maybe Michael was on the podcast after the opening session, and he said, we're making AI announcements to our customers that yes, we have this available to them, but like we've been embracing machine learning and AI internally in our business. Have you guys seen that, spread across your departments too, where you guys are having to also say, hey, we're a business and we're in this evolving global marketplace for AI and automation. Like, how does it fit into what we do? And let's kind of like try this out and make sure we're adopters too before we just start talking AI for our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have to know what we talk about, right? So we don't just want to announce something and then we are not embracing this ourselves. So we have AI basically everywhere. Our teams work with AI. We have built our own AI agents basically that serve as our digital colleagues, and this goes throughout all of the functions that we have throughout all of the businesses. And we're really also telling our teams to make use of this and to be more efficient with it, and also to just increase our own velocity with it, because the more we do it, the more we can also talk about it, the more trustworthy we are to our customers when we do these kind of announcements. And of course it goes also into all of the data that we have to work with, and I'm looking at you for finance, and for sure you have a lot of data, where this is a big help for us as well to really be on top of our game.
Yeah. I would think about you too, because I know that I feel like an area that AI kind of latched onto for like a low-hanging fruit, if you will, was always related to finance because of all of the documents or paperwork or manual processes that are attached to that. So have you guys been able to find success internally adopting, automation tools as well?
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of different things in that area and partnerships with Oracle and other companies, some of our banks as well. And so, what's a little bit difficult is to get past the compliance elements. And so we're still kind of wading through that. But overall, everybody is using AI. And I think, AI can be a very broad term. It can be a very intimidating term. But I think there's easy wins that are happening in a lot of places. And it's a priority. We need to start using it. We need to be more efficient. We all have busy days and a lot to do, and so I think the priority is figuring out how to use it in a way that makes us better, 1% better every day kind of thing, instead of thinking really, what Philipp was talking about earlier is incredible, some of the things we're doing with AI agents and customer care and other parts of R&D, professional services. But I think everybody should try to just use it a little bit to get a little bit better. We're using it in HR as well. Yeah. So like role-playing, like management concerns, or how to work better with your employees, how to have hard conversations. I mean, those types of things really help just, the everyday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I liked the analogy that was given by the CEO. I think it was in the opening, session. He said just get 1% better with something and it'll affect another department. And so I think that's kind of the theme I'm hearing here is like, hey, automation, AI, technology, it's all here. Let's all work towards embracing it, but we don't have to, go like 100 miles an hour running towards this.
Yeah, just be curious. See what's out there. Start using Gemini to understand how to write better, maybe even. Everybody could use that.
Yeah.
So, but of course there are the bigger solutions that I think we're investing a lot of money in and we want to see a return on. And so there's a focus on that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what would you guys say? Any thoughts or pieces of advice for anyone who might be listening as they're moving into 2026? What do you think is going to kind of be like the theme, if you will, of 2026 for the customers that you serve that they should be keeping in mind?
For sure, it's going to be AI, right? So we talk a lot about this new products that are all somehow connected to artificial intelligence, but I think it's also one level before that actually, where it comes really to having systems that connect to each other, that speak to each other, and that really help to digitize what you're doing, and also start building a like connected data set and a streamlined data set, because that is like where AI then gets really powerful. And our job as Trimble is to help our customers onto that journey, no matter where they are right now in terms of the digitalization. We need to help them to get on this journey while we know that the finishing line is moving, right? AI is developing so fast. We all don't know where this is going to be in 12 months, right? So I think my advice would be just get started and trust a partner like us to help to get on this journey and actually embrace technology and embrace AI and not to be scared about it. Like Megan said, be curious and start using it.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, from a customer viewpoint, I would ask the hard questions. What's my return on this investment? I think really digging into that with your vendors and with Trimble is a good way to start that conversation. There's a lot of products out there. I think people want to invest and they want to figure out how, and I think making sure that you're doing it in the right way to get that return is very important. I'd also say, I hope the economy is going to turn around. We had an MIT scientist here. She was phenomenal, and we were talking a lot about that, and I think preparing for that future where you do have potentially more investment and how you're going to make your business even more successful as hopefully we turn this corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you guys being willing to step up and continue to prove to everyone that open mic sessions aren't scary, right? They're great. Fun times?
So fun.
Absolutely.
Fun times. Okay. Well, if anybody is interested in talking to you guys a little bit more, or maybe they want to connect with you, are you both on LinkedIn, or what would be a good place to find you guys and connect?
LinkedIn is a great place to find us.
Awesome. Well, they are both on LinkedIn, and we'll have their full names spelled out for you guys so you can find them easily in the episode description. But thank you guys for joining me for our podcast.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. And thanks everyone for listening in. Thanks for meeting us for coffee today. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to check out our channels and subscribe. It would also mean a lot if you could leave us a rating or a review. If you're listening on LinkedIn, feel free to drop your thoughts or your questions in the comment section, and we'd be happy to get back to you. Thanks again.